You're listening to Nurturing Parents, the official podcast of the Radically Inclusive Parenting Project. Here, we hold space for real conversations at the intersections of parenting, spirituality, and justice. With each episode, we bring together experts, everyday parents, and advocates to explore how we can raise the next generation with purpose, intention, and love. So whether you're tuning in from a quiet moment of rest or in the middle of the beautiful chaos of family life, take a deep breath and let's journey together. Hello, my name is Nettie, and I'm a co-director for the Radically Inclusive Parenting Project. I'm excited to have my fellow co-director, Nubian Flunder, here with me today. Nubian is a mother, entrepreneur, healer, and advocate for social justice, and it is an honor to work alongside her in this movement for healing and transformation starting right at home. Nubian, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to talk more with you about the topic of healing, because from what I've learned about you, you have a passion for healing, you have training and healing practices, and you're a mother yourself. And so we get to talk more together about what does healing look like in our homes and how do we nurture healing as parents and caregivers of our children. And so to get us started, if you could just share with us a little bit about your journey and what helped emerge this passion in healing.
Thank you. I am a daughter of the Black Christian Church. I was born in the belly of the church. I come from a family of clergy persons, pastors, bishops, evangelists, ministers. So healing, spiritual healing has always been a part of my life. I had a spiritual awakening in my teen years, right around the time that my father passed away. And while my father was in hospice, he was suffering from organ failure. And the hospital was giving him really unhealthy food that he obviously could not digest, let alone chew or eat. It was in those last moments of my father's life that I realized there had to be another way to approach this. There had to be better options for healing. That piloted my desire to search for more holistic approaches to chronic illness. Along that journey, I had a lot of self-discovery. I learned about yoga, meditation, diet and nutrition, herbology, massage, acupuncture, chiropractic care, and even the medicine of tapping into nature, being outside in the elements, being at the beach, in the mountains, and just really getting in alignment as a human being with the environment around me. That was the catalyst to my journey. I started very young, and I have built a lifestyle around healing and wellness.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. It's very personal when it comes to the way you were processing your father's transition. And just to know where it all comes from, it really comes from a deep place within you. And it's really neat to see how you started by saying you're a daughter of the Black church in America, right? And how being in that environment, worship and faith was like a starting place. And what's really neat is for a lot of the people in our community of, the work we get to do with parents and caregivers, a lot of our community members come from a worship and religious community. And so in your journey, you mentioned different ways that you learned about healing from different traditions and different cultures. I just want to name that from the beginnings of your life and throughout your journey, there was this openness and expansiveness to see healing beyond just one perspective.
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking about how healing, it's understood in different ways. People might understand healing with different definitions. And so for you, what is one way that you understand healing, or how would you define healing from your experience?
I think healing is the divine's way of telling us, I've called you to this life. There's going to be some bumps and bruises and breaks along the way. However, I have equipped you with tools that you'll need to mend any bruises, bumps, scrapes, and breaks. It's a gift of support. It's our help, you know. And healing can happen in many ways. Often we think about physical healing, but there is emotional healing. There are wounds that we didn't create, we inherited, you know, from our family, society, community, or gender. And then there are wounds that we collect along our journey. And healing is the avenue. I often say that the body is an intelligent being. The body is like a supercomputer. And as soon as something gets out of alignment, it kicks into high gear to try to find a workaround, to mend it, to heal it, to improve it. And the spirit is the same way. Our spirit is the same way. I believe that the many methods of healing are God's gift to us. It's that tool chest, that care package you send with your kids when they go off to college. You know it's going to be rough. They're going to have good days and some challenging days. They might not have very much money, or they might not have their favorite snack. You know that they're going to have some ups and downs. And so you send them with that care package. And that's how I see healing.
I am so refreshed to hear your understanding of healing, especially because I grew up in a conservative Pentecostal church as a kid, and there was an emphasis on healing, and it usually was physical healing or healing from addictions. It was celebrated when something that we labeled as bad was now good or restored. What I'm hearing you say about healing is that it's spirit's way or the divine's way of saying, I've equipped you with what you need. And it's like this holistic view of healing where you don't eliminate what's bad, and it's not like this dualistic perspective of what's good and bad. It's this holistic perspective of life comes with many ups and downs. And healing is this holistic view and approach to tend to what we need to tend to. And there's something really comforting about that. It just feels like we have more acceptance of life as life comes. And we cannot control so many of the things that happen in our lives.
So true.
So I think that's a really beautiful and refreshing way to understand healing, and to trust that in our healing, we are given what we need to tend to the hurting places. As you've been on this journey of healing and growing in your spirituality, and as a mother, how has your passion and your training in healing practically showed up in your home life? Are there certain things you do in your home, practices or rituals that help you bring healing into your home environment?
Absolutely. The home environment is my sacred space. Home is sacred to me. My parents, my grandparents, all really coveted home life. There's an investment in establishing and maintaining an environment of peace, committing to keeping it peaceful, you know, not allowing a lot of chaos and mayhem, cleanliness and order. I mean, we're not perfect, but there is a consciousness to keep our environment clean and organized. There's an emphasis on beauty in the home and creating a healing environment. In my home, you're going to eat something green every day. You're going to drink water. We try to really prioritize diet and nutrition, but also, in the spring, some deep cleaning, throw away stuff you're not using, bring in something fresh. I love flowers and plants. Plants bring a lot of healing to the space. It also cleans the air and just brings life to the space. We do music, we do prayer. Healing in my home looks like creating an environment that is conducive towards healing. It's saying, this is our home. This space represents us. This is where we go to rest, to recover, to commune with one another, to have intimacy with each other. And we are committed to keeping it peaceful, serene, and generating the healing energy that we need.
Yeah. I'm thinking about the fast-paced world that we live in. And for our kids who are used to the speed of the internet and accessing the internet on their phones or tablets, what does it look like to have a home environment that helps us bring back that harmony or balance into our system? Because the world is fast-paced. Our schools, our jobs, activities, it just feels busy. And it feels like in our time, even more so, we can cultivate home as the space where we slow down and we can connect more deeply. We can rest. I appreciate all the different things you mentioned: plants, music, even the way you hang art and decorate your home, right? And the nutrition, all of those practices, you're doing them with the intention of making home a healing space.
Yes.
I think part of our spiritual journeys as we grow into our adulthood and as we become parents and caregivers of children is just developing the awareness that we're doing this because we are being intentional.
Yes.
It's not like, oh, this plant's pretty. I just put it there because it's pretty. It's, I'm putting this plant here with the intention of bringing healing, clean air, peace. And so I feel like a lot of our growth in our spiritual journeys is just developing that deeper intention and awareness on how we're creating spaces in our home. So yeah, I think that what you shared is very helpful for many of our listeners to hear and to think about how they're setting up spaces in their home that bring that healing, that restoration. And you talked about cleanliness and orderliness.
It's next to godliness now. I can't tell you how many times I heard that growing up. Cleanliness is next to godliness. It's in there.
Oh my goodness, how funny. But one thing I have learned, I have four young children, and because they're all so young, you could imagine the level of energy and chaos that we feel on a daily basis because they're playing, they're running, jumping, they're throwing toys. And what I'm learning to say is we all take care of our home.
Yes.
And when we can take care of our home, we put things where they belong. And I tell my kids, after we clean up a room or we clean up a space, I tell my kids, how does it feel now? Now, how does it feel in here? And I want them to pay attention to what it feels like when there's a cluttered space versus a cleanly space. So I think
Absolutely.
that's just, yeah, another way we are being intentional with our home feeling
Yes.
spacious and like a place where we can be healed and restored. Now that we've talked about some practices you do in the home, are there any examples you can think of as a parent where you could witness or see some kind of healing taking place in your child?
Yes. My child, one of them is 20, so he's starting his adult journey, but the 15-year-old, he just turned 15. I can't believe that. But the 15-year-old is still, he's still going through that really fast, heavy growth period that is the teenage years. There's a lot that happens to us as humans in that 13 to 19-year-old time frame where you go from child to adult. It's a huge transition and a lot of times frustrating. The children are learning how to be in the world. They're learning themselves. They're in community with their peers. There's peer pressure. And my son had some challenges with school, not so much schoolwork, but with his peer group, and started to have a lot of self-doubt, not believing in himself, develop what could, I think, best be described as a type of apathy. But it was almost like he was trying to play down his joy to like be cool. But it really started to shift him in a dark way. And when I say dark, I mean just kind of apathetic and I don't really care about things and being crass. At any rate, we started to develop some spiritual practice around affirmations, working on personal values. What are your personal values? What do you believe? Not what you think I want you to believe, but what do you actually believe? Taking the time to really help him process, like, who am I? How do I want to be seen in the world? If somebody was telling someone else about me, what would they be saying? Why the friends that I have, why are they my friends? Why am I their friend? But just taking that time and giving him the space to explore himself. He had a drastic shift. He was able to identify where he wants to go, how he wants to improve, what kind of experiences he wants to have. Being down in the dumps all the time is probably not that fun. This emotional transformation for him and me kind of allowing him to lead the process, right? Like, you tell me where you are, what you're, I'll tell you what I'm observing, but you tell me where you are, what you need, and trusting him, putting the ball back in his court and saying, I trust you to know yourself. You have more capacity than you realize. You can turn this thing around. And he has. Confidence is up. He wrote a beautiful social justice paper for school. And he was in the top 5 students who did the assignment. He scored in the top 5. And his writing was so good that they featured him. He was beaming. And I'm like, to like what you said earlier, how does that feel? How does that feel to be acknowledged for your work, to tap in, to take yourself serious, to demonstrate your value and be appreciated for it? That's the flow you want to be going towards, you know? So that's one recent way that I could share.
Yeah, that's so beautiful and powerful story. And there's so many pieces that I really appreciate from that example. I'm thinking about how you empowered your child to believe that everything he needed lived inside of him. And that is even a big shift. There's this dominant view, especially in Christianity in America, that we are born as humans that have nothing great to offer because we're born with a shameful or sinful nature. And there's other teachings and threads within Christianity that actually teach that we were born because we were born in the likeness of God. We were born in God's image. We have all that we need in us. And our journeys and our spiritual path is one of discovering what is in there already because God's given us all that we need. And your example with your son is that you provided space to help him discover what is inside of him. That is something that we all can benefit, learning and practicing as parents. And so I'm making this connection in your example of how we as parents and caregivers can hold the space for our child to discover more of who they are, to process and to heal. Healing takes space.
Hmm.
It takes time. We know from even our physical injuries that we don't often quickly heal. It takes time to heal. And so I think part of bringing healing into our homes is recognizing that healing is a process and that we can develop the patience and the compassion to be on the healing journey with our kids.
Absolutely.
And
And it
so,
is a day by day journey.
yeah, that's right. It is a day by day journey. Trusting in that process and trusting that love, compassion, an open heart and open spirit will take us where we are meant to be, right?
Yes.
Thanks for sharing that example. It's very powerful. I think so many people will be inspired by your story. And I'm wondering, as we wrap up our conversation, when you think about parenting today and where you're at as a parent, with all the challenges we're experiencing in our time, what is one piece of wisdom or advice you'd like to share with our community today to all the parents and caregivers?
I would say develop a self-care practice. Prioritize that. Parenting is a big job. Holding space to guide a human being so tied to you. It is essential for us as parents to carve out opportunities for self-care. People think of self-care often as getting a massage or going on vacation, and those are forms of self-care. But self-care could also just be like, mommy's in the bathroom and I need you to respect my time for my 15 minutes. You're going to live, but this is my 15 minutes. Take care of each other. It could be taking the long way home, sitting in the driveway. You know what I'm saying? Before just taking the pause before you go in, maintaining your friendships. Schedule something, even if it's once a quarter. Schedule something where you are also taking care of you. You know, you're also getting your cup filled. Because if you don't fill your cup, you're pouring from an empty cup. And that's when the frustration, the irritability, the fogginess, the lack of clarity and direction, the overwhelm can set in for us. If I could have just one piece of advice, they in the church, they say, you've got to stay prayed up. And I say, whether it's prayer, meditation, exercise, nourishing your body, finding moments. Everyone's lifestyle is different. I'm speaking from my lifestyle, but everyone's lifestyle is different. And so, how you incorporate self care into your life is up to you, but make it a practice. Don't make it a special thing on Mother's Day or Father's Day. Make it a part of your parenting style so that you are demonstrating for your children the importance of a self-care practice.
Yeah, that's really good. I hear you, saying that it's not one day out of the year that I'm going to really take care of myself. It's modeling to our kids how there's practices we do consistently, whether they're daily or even weekly. This is how I pour into my cup. We can only offer the level of love to our children that we have poured into ourselves first.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's just such a good reminder for us to remember that we are human and we deserve and we need to be filled up so that we can then flow out and pour into our loved ones, our children, and our family and community. We're living organisms. And
Yes.
so there's a flow happening here, right? Thank you for that piece of wisdom. I pray and hope that everyone receives it and can apply it into how it best fits their lives today and in this season. We get to be on this journey together. We're learning and growing as parents every day, and we're in this together, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much, Nubian. Is there anything that you'd like to share as far as the work you're involved with? Is there any way people listening can support the work you're a part of?
Absolutely. My business is the Healing Place Apothecary. We are a wellness lifestyle brand that utilizes the medium of holistic skincare to encourage daily self-care rituals. You can find me at It's Healing Time on Instagram and Facebook. And my website is thpapothecary.com. I'm also the co-director for the Radically Inclusive Parenting Project, and we are doing some amazing work with parents and caregivers. And then also, you can find me at Sankofa Faith Children's Initiative, where we are assisting parents and community leaders to develop youth um, spiritual engagement in faith-based organizations. So I'm around Nubian Flunder. You can Google my name, and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll definitely be sharing all the ways that we can stay connected to the different ways that you're bringing more healing into our world. So thank you, Nubian, so much for this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Nurturing Parents, the official podcast of the Radically Inclusive Parenting Project. We hope today's conversation offered you a moment of connection, a spark of insight, or simply a reminder that you are not alone on your parenting journey. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone in your village. Together, we're building a more inclusive future, one conversation and one child at a time. For more information about the Radically Inclusive Parenting Project, visit us at inclusiveparents.org or follow us on social media at radically.inclusive.parent.